the origins of film, of course, have an enormous relationship with magic, both good and bad, the bad being the problem of cutting. And when you were seeing early magic acts that were done, I think of Fergoli, the great quick change artist who appears in footage around 1902, maybe even a little before the turn of the century. So here was a man who had an act where he changed costumes rapidly, but you're seeing this on film. It's cut each time his costume changes, and clearly it takes away from that. But at the same time, early magic acts were an inspiration for filmmakers, and often the early filmmakers and presenters of film were actually magicians. The more obvious relationships of George Méliès, which even come later, but back as early as the Lumiere brothers, whose first subject was Felician Truey, who was a great performing magician of the day, and the first man who actually showed the cinematograph in England. So there is this difficult but intriguing relationship, I think, with magic and film. I've seen examples of terrific magicians on television in the early years in the 50s who really thought they were so good that, and they were terrific performers, that they didn't have to deal with the cameras at all. And I think they're really saddened by the results of that. Yeah, you certainly should be aware of where the camera is. If it's just like a person, you have to know where that person is standing, and you want to choose material that works in that particular situation. Sure. In terms of Alan and Molly filming me, I think that's slightly different. I mean, there was very little performance involved, although there was some. And I would say when there was some, I was pretty conscious of where the cameras were. But in granting you access, in terms of filming, so many things that I've done over 14 or 15 years, I think isn't that what you strive for as filmmakers, to kind of blend in so that one isn't really conscious of your presence? Nowadays, everything has changed because of the internet. Everything. The accessibility of magic has never been higher than it is now. But I would have to say the percentage of people who I think are good is unchanged. So even though there's more material available and there are more people doing it, the percentage of those people who are doing it incredibly well or being really original is basically the same. But if it wasn't secret, it would just be trivialized, I believe. That there's always the problem of somebody seeing something and then gratuitously being told how it works, and their reaction goes from one of enchantment to, oh, that's what you did. It literally negates the experience, and I see no reason to do that to anyone unless there's a reason. My company with Michael Weber is called Deceptive Practices, very similar to the name of the film, which is the plural, Deceptive Practice. But our motto is arcane knowledge on a need-to-know basis. And that means that when we're consultants on film and television and theater, if a director needs to know how something is done to make his work better, we unhesitatingly tell them. We're not coy about it. But if they don't need to know, nothing would get me to expose it, because that only diminishes what we do. Street magic has been performed as the earliest recorded magic, going back hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it is because of that direct relationship. And the literature even comes from that, from magicians in the 16th century, selling little pamphlets of their effects as they perform, and that going on to the sideshow tradition at carnivals in the 20th century here, and to people on the streets selling things now. So I actually think that really is a continuum, and what makes it so exciting is exactly what you stated. It's that live interaction between the two. And I work the streets a great deal. Does that come out in this? Did we ever talk about that? But I absolutely work the streets. And I think I learned a ton from working the streets. And, only at a certain point did I realize I wanted my magic in a theater. I mean, initially I worked, particularly in the age when I had long hair. I remember appearing on The Tonight Show, I think the first time, in a fringe vest with my sleeves rolled up. I would never perform without sleeves rolled up and in some unconventional way, and turned down when those early appearances got some recognition, and I was asked to perform in clubs, in formal situations. I wouldn't do it. I only wanted that immediate interaction. If you're asking, are there good young magicians around? And internationally, the answer is absolutely yes. There really are. There's a friend of mine in the audience tonight who has a wonderful show called The Elephant Room with two other magicians. That's a wonderful comedic take on magic. And Steve Schiffer, who's a truly gifted sleight-of-hand artist, but doing a show that's comedic and great fun, and really has an unusual approach to the art that's as viable as anything I've seen. And there are people in Spain who are doing really wonderful things. I mean, pretty much around the world. There's no reason not to be excited about the future.